so disheartening, so sordid, so ugly, and so bad for sights in your living room. It's a sad commentary. And we that what was actually at stake in agriculture that was not at stake in other local government areas. Story. In other local government areas, we hear that a former chairman of a council died there with his elder brother. Some other person sustained injuries and all that. These are not stories we hear. We hear stories of Yukobas. In southern local government area of Bayelsa State, we lost a colleague, a cameraman, a journalist attached to government housing in Bayelsa State. So you see, this is not a good time for coppers. This is not a good time for journalists, and not a good time for security personnel, and not even a good time for some political office holders. But if the right things are done, if we are heeded the call from the international community to play on this station several times, we wouldn't have been where we are today. It is said that the witch cried last night and a baby died in the morning. We saw a lot of calls, incitements in high and low places in this state and outside this state. So a lot of people are not surprised that we have this kind of sad story coming all over the country, especially in River State. Yukopas, right? I saw a picture of a Yukopa online whose head, a brain was blown off, and they begin to wonder for resistance. In fact, the story of a Yukopa, a medical doctor who is a Yukopa, and he was trying to say that he would never ever venture in this kind of ugly enterprise any longer, called ad hoc staff of INEC. And he was telling the story of how he was forced to let go all ballot papers and all that for people to deliver, to thumb print and do all manner of things. All he had to do was go by the side and fill an incident paper, which ordinarily should contain all those thumb printed results. And that's what we expected some of these people to do. Some coppers lost their life because they wanted to protect the electoral materials. That's not fair. It's so sad that we should treat our young ones this way. And if we look at the demographics of the election, about 51% of young people between 18 and 35 registered for this election, which means they are supposed to be active participants in this election. That part of this population chose to go into Togri. And the fact that the military also exhibited high-handedness and were parading with some high-profile politicians that led to this bloodbath is something that is very sad in the political history, as well in Lagos State. Well, INEC promised to ensure that we have a peaceful process. At this point, before I continue, I would like to play some of the clips to show what transpired in the field. I'm sure the audio will play some of those, some of the reports filed from the field. While we await the final result, of course, you know, the final result for the presidency is expected to come in Abuja at the central collation points where the results will be announced. It's not all these results we are seeing on social media are not to be taken very seriously, because the final result will come from Abuja. And for the National Assembly, Senate and House of Reps, the results will be announced maybe later today or some other time at the INEC final collation center. So don't be carried away by what you see. Let us maintain peace. Well, on this program, we're surely doing a review of what transpired yesterday. Let's get some of the clips.
Addressing journalists at the end of our voting at Ward 14, Unit 10, in Degema local government area, Dr. Banigu expressed delight at the large turnout of the electorate who came out in their numbers to discharge their franchise. She said the massive turnout was an indication of the fact that the people are ready to perform their civic responsibility of electing their leaders. Dr. Banigu commended the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, on the early arrival of materials, which also facilitated the early voting.
You can see the turnout all over. It's quite remarkable. And that shows the determination of the people. I want to ask the INEC to complete the good work that we see they have started.
At Unit 7, Ward 14, still in Dege area, the materials arrived quite on time, with the electorates also on the ground, followed with accreditation simultaneously. Some of the electorates interviewed lauded INEC and the people of the area a peaceful disposition.
The environment is peaceful, and everybody that is casting their vote are in order with the constitution of the electoral process, and we give glory to for what is going on so far.
It went well and peaceful. As in Arrest in Degema local government, it's one of the peaceful community. No violence ever recorded in Arrest.
The story was not different from Unit 9 in Obama Town, as the people were not bad, despite the previous postponement of the election by 1 week. Election in parts of areas visited precisely in Ward 3, Unit 20 in Asaritoro local government area witnessed peaceful voting. In Emowa local government area at Ward 3, Unit 11, at about past 3 o'clock, voting was still ongoing as the electorate came out overwhelmingly to cast their vote, despite lack of appropriate coordination among voters.
The material did not arrive on time, and secondly, the register strength here is too high. We have about 1,403 members here to be, and everybody is interested to vote.
At Ward 1, Unit 1 and 2 in Elimbu, Obiakpo local government area, despite the complaints associated with the non-functioning of the card readers and late arrival of materials in some polling units, election went on peacefully with large turnout of electorates.
The process is cool and calm. Materials arrived in time. I voted by 8:30. INEC has done wonderful work and is well organized.
Today we had problem of card reader. The election did not start in time. Please, for the next election, let them beef up this card reader.
Obiandomadumi, RSTV News.
Governor Nyesom Ezemowike and his wife, Justice Suzette, arrived at the polling unit together at about 11:43. Then they got accredited by the electoral officers before they proceeded to cast their votes at 11:54 o'clock. Governor Wike said it used to be the police that was blamed in interfering with the electoral process, but the reports available to him indicate otherwise. He said the military has overtaken the police in putting itself against the will of the people by interfering with the electoral process in some areas. He, however, commended a few of them who have provided the needed security, saying the electorates have demonstrated sufficient enthusiasm and are willingly exercising their civic rights.
It's unfortunate that our military would descend so low. We used to complain about the police, but today we have seen that it is not the military. But by and large, I think INEC is prepared, and apart from the military intervention, I think things are moving on smoothly. Every Nigerian should be patient. At the end of the day, what God has willed, what Nigerians have wished to be, will be. It doesn't matter what any manipulations anybody will want to carry out. I'm hopeful, I'm very, very hopeful that Nigerians will decide today.
Both mother and father of the state governor, Reverend and Mrs. Ilemaya Wike, also cast their votes at the same unit, 7 Ward 9, where the governor voted. Tamuno Barabi, Ibulubo, RSTV News.
Distribution of materials in Obiakpo, Port Harcourt and Ikure local government areas where I monitored elections started early, and voting commenced between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. in most units visited.
Everything seems calm, everything seems peaceful, and that's what we're hoping for. I think everybody's hoping for a peaceful day, so that as many people who want to vote can come out and vote in a calm manner.
This morning, as God may have it, they started very early. At 6 o'clock, they are done with distribution of the materials to the various NYC ad hoc workers that are supposed to handle their various units.
Voters generally turned out in large numbers in all the units visited, and the elections conducted in peaceful atmosphere. Electors described the process as satisfactory, but sued for a process that will facilitate the voting process.
The election is okay. I like the way the election is going.
The election is a very peaceful and successful. I stood on the queue for over 1 hour, and it's very discomforting. I imagine particularly elderly ones, INEC needs to go back to the drawing board and rejig the entire process and make it a little bit more voter friendly. So far so good. It's peaceful here. It's orderly here. The people are conducting themselves very orderly.
If what I have seen here is what is happening all over the whole place, I want to say that it is very credible, there's sincerity in it. I dub my heart for the orderliness and calm of what is happening here today.
Voting ended between 1 and 2 p.m. in some units in Obiakpo and Port Harcourt local government areas.
Here in my own polling unit, election is going on here smoothly, even though some people are expressing concern about the delay in the process. But it's one man doing one thing and the other one, not two people doing it. So we experience some of these little delays. I've asked them to be patient, and that but the smart card reader, in my own experience, when I went to vote, was perfect.
As you can see, we're almost done. This is about the only unit in St. Thomas here that is that still has a number of persons online. And in the next few minutes, by 15 or 20 minutes, I think they should be done. As at the time of filing in this report, votes were being counted in most polling units. Justice Ehunwo, RSTV News.
The 2019 presidential and National Assembly elections in the Southeast Senatorial District was peaceful and orderly. At Eleme local government area, the party agents and ad hoc staff were seen moving voting materials to various wards and units as party agents expressed their expectations. Similarly, at INEC office or headquarters of Gokana local government area, materials were distributed while voting went on well at Catholic Church Bidere, State School 2 and Apostolic Church All Ward 4, which has 17 units. In Kana local government area, materials were moved from rack at about 10 a.m. to various wards and units from the local government industrial units, Bori. At Berry, Ward 9, Unit 8, voters exercised their civic rights with candidates for House of Representatives, Domnamene Deko, in attendance, while at Luwa, Ward 16, Senator Lee Meba reported the absence of voting materials to the community.
Beside the late arrival of material, it is at the end of voting time that we'll be able to know where voting have taken place, where we were able to do election, and how many places the rampaging APC talks have destroyed voting materials.
Bori headquarters of Kana local government area, Ward 1, Unit 6, 7 and 8 concluded elections at about 1:57 p.m. In all, it was peaceful as expressed by these stakeholders while commending the security for their effort.
For this very polling unit, I recommend them good here. But for the other places, I don't know.
I've been highly impressed with the turnout of people, especially in all the men's where I come from.
Letam La Ebel, RSTV News.
At a mass devoid of any intimidation, no act of youthful brigandage or violence should deter them from coming out to vote. We have engaged with all stakeholders, including the youths, the faith-based organization, the gender-based organization, that is the women. We have engaged with the traditional rulers to caution their youths not to participate in any form of election violence. We have also adhered to our instruction because we are getting reports from the communities that are going to act in an orderly manner on the election day. Then we are now telling the women and the people living with disability to proceed to the polling unit. Proceed to the polling unit with your PVC. On getting there, observe the rules that INEC will put in place from 8 o'clock to 2 p.m. or beyond, depending on how the voters are in the queue. Then you vote in orderly manner. Approach APO3. The APO3 will approach you to ascertain if your PVC is meant for that polling unit. If it is not for that polling unit, they will tell you to get to the polling unit that is the designated one for you to cast your vote, where your name is in the electronic register, EVR. Then after the APO3, you get to APO1 that we use your PVC to cross-check your biometrics and get your fingerprints from the smart card reader. Then after then, you get to APO2. APO is going to check your name in the register. If it is corresponding with what your PVC has, he is going to paint your designated finger, the cuticle of your designated finger, so that you will now proceed to the presiding officer. The presiding officer will issue you with ballot paper, stamped and signed, and show you how to fold it after at the cubicle. Then you proceed to the cubicle. Don't use any electronic device to the cubicle, because you are not expected to snap your ballot paper after voting, because it has become a tradition in Osun and Ekiti elections whereby they go into the cubicle, they snap their ballot paper after voting and go and show their would-be godfather and collect money. INEC in essence is trying to curb vote buying by not allowing anybody to go into the cubicle with an electronic gadget or any type of camera or phone. That is why it is advisable to drop your phone on the table before getting to the cubicle. After casting your vote, you come and put your ballot paper in the open where people, all and sundry, is watching you. That is the ballot box. Then you can remain in the polling station in an orderly manner. Don't disturb, so that you watch the process, you watch the activity on the election day. If you are going to be in disorderly manner, you are expected to leave the polling unit gently and go home and wait for the result when it will be announced.
Security in these elections.
Then we have engaged with military, paramilitary, all facets of security in the country under the platform of Interconsultative Committee on Election Security. They are going to nip election violence in the board, not going to allow any violence to take place during election because of the women. A quest from the women folk that election violence affects them much, and the people living with disability. People living with disability cannot run, so they need utmost protection. And the president had made a pronouncement that if you are coming to the polling unit to carry ballot paper, it means you need to exercise little form of brigandage or violence with your cohorts. Then the military awaits you at the polling unit. Nobody should be afraid to vote. Nobody should be afraid to come out to vote. People should come out en masse to cast their vote and vote the candidate of their choice, so that they will end up voting credible candidate that will be in government.
We have that those reports from our field reporters in the field list today. We have been on to the time where justice is and about the election. After the election, we see that there are different strokes for different people. If you watch the report from Justice on Obiabo and Port Harcourt, all seem very perfect. You saw those testimonies from some people who spoke. Well, Okechinda, who spoke, talked about the need to rejig the process and to ensure that the cumbersome nature of the election is not allowed to continue. Of course, when you had the INEC man talk there, he was talking about how prepared INEC was and all the measures that to take during the election. Those procedures look cumbersome. I wonder how long it would take an individual to carry out that process that he just rolled out, and that was what played out yesterday. Even the voter sheet on ISEP was very unwieldy, and so many names about 72 or 73 contestants for only the Senate seat, only the presidential seat, and what that means. And then you have about 93 political parties for all other positions. So you could see for the other positions, so many names, so many logos, and then the processes. And the issue of segregating the electorate didn't seem to have played out yesterday. You had the INEC man talk about the people with disabilities, elderly, the women, and all that. There was no segregation of the voters yesterday. We saw that, and I'm sure that is something INEC has to look back on.
It could be cool.
Back to again.
Then you
proceed. I recall that the Chinda said they should rejig the process, and means that most of what he wrote out there didn't play out yesterday at all. If you watch some of the cues, you will see that some of these cues did not parade any segregated format. Everybody seemed to be queued on the same queue, and it was not a proper audience. And the waiting was too long. The INEC boss here talked about early polls taking place between 8 and 9, recording about 67.91%. And the long run, all we record in terms of polling at the right time was about 92.76%. And all, it didn't seem to be as if most of the issues rolled out with respect to the administrative process of the elections, it didn't seem to have taken place. On security, there was a total collapse. When I was listening to the INEC man there rolling out what the arrangements were made with respect to what he called inter-agency collaboration, which had to do with security operatives. Speaking there, he gave us the impression that